This is an excerpt from Peter Ralston's new book, Ending Unnecessary Suffering, coming out in March of 2025. Why is trying to free yourself from your self-mind and personal traits not likely going to work? If you identified as a being that simply had a habit or pattern you didn't want, dropping it is possible as long as you didn't experience being that trait. But you do experience being yourself, so this isn't something you can drop by an act of will. It is not a part of you, it is the experience of you. If you are not conscious of anything you are that is free of these experiences, then the only thing you have is your characteristic self. But there are overlooked layers to this experience that make change even trickier. You very likely experience your character traits as coming from and representing the self behind the scenes, what is held as the real you, or the source you, from which they arise, being an inner self object. Therefore, when you have the idea to transcend your character and personality, merely intellectually thinking they are not you, you will probably fail at the attempt because this is only an idea. You have already wed your character to what you hold as the source you, and in this way identify with these traits as representing the real you. Therefore, the mere idea that they are not isn't enough to get free of them. Transcending yourself is an idea that pits the notion of the source self you are being against the self you are actually doing, but this is not seen for what it is. If what you identify as being yourself struggles to get free of the traits arising from this same self, you will fail since you will end up with yourself no matter who wins that battle. You will be struggling against your own impulses, probably without changing the fundamental perspective from which these impulses arise. This becomes a losing battle, the snake biting its own tail. Still, what is it that you're struggling with, and what are you trying to transcend? As an analogy, consider that over time developing your character and personality was like building something out of Legos. When a child plays with such toys, each child builds their own structure, which appears different from the others. Like Legos, the kinds of traits available to humans are pretty much the same for everyone, but which ones are chosen and how they are arranged determines each unique individual. When it comes to your character traits and personality, however, one thing to get is that this structure is just serving a purpose, your individual self-survival, but it is not what you actually are. In this analogy, you'd be more like the child, not the Lego structure. If you grasp your true nature, you will immediately grasp that having a personality is not the same as what you are. At some point, you may also realize that these traits have arisen and continue to arise to serve a purpose. They don't simply exist on their own or exist as you, even though they seem to represent you. There is a difference between the existence of something as itself and an activity generated to serve a purpose. Anything arising merely to serve a purpose is an activity that comes and goes. It is not existentially real. In this case, the purpose for developing a person comprised of character traits is to create ways to manage life and to identify with a unique individual that forms the outlines of what it is that needs to persist. For more on this, see the Book of Not Knowing. This purpose can be served in many ways. Every person's character and personality is doing just that. Even though some ways are more effective or healthy than others regarding managing life or being complete, they are all serving the same purpose. Yet, the substance of this activity is the same for everyone. As in the above analogy, the Legos are the same for every child, only the shapes that are built from them are different. The substance, or the Legos themselves, are all the same. Just so, what's constructed as a self-agenda is just the chosen method as to how to navigate life. Yet the one doing the choosing is actually ultimately free from anything chosen, even though they have no choice about choosing some way to do it. When you can get that in this way everyone is the same, you see you aren't alone in the challenge of choosing a method that may not be the healthiest or the best one. Ending Unnecessary Suffering is coming out in March of 2025. To pre-order now, click the link in the description.